Welcome to Week 2 of Assessment for Linguistically Diverse Learners. Our overall outcomes are focused on building cultural and linguistic understanding and advocacy for ELLs. This week we have 3 main outcomes. The first is to identify your next steps in completing the student background information, which is section 1 of your case study. Our second outcome supports developing understandings related to conducting a home visit and how this can impact understandings regarding relevant factors of your case study student. And the third outcome focuses on explaining the differences between formative and summative assessment and allows you to complete section 2 of the case study. Here's a reminder to look at the Week 2 overview. Each week we have the same assignment categories, with different content associated with each. This screencast will walk you through the resources that will support you in choosing a prompt to respond to in the discussion forum. For this assignment, we will focus primarily on outcomes 1 and 3 of Week 2. You will read chapters from a text titled Everyday Anti-Racism, Chapter 2 and part of Chapter 1 from the Gottlieb text, and watch a video of Rick Stiggins explaining the difference between assessment of and for learning. Assignment 1 is the discussion forum. One text that you'll read is Everyday Anti-Racism. This is a text that both our district and department in Aurora Public Schools has been reading for several years. It's comprised of a variety of essays from very well-known authors that call to our attention the importance of truly understanding the learners we work with. This is a quote from the foreword of the text. The essays focus on things to do in our schools and classrooms. Rather than just ways to think differently about ourselves or others, many educators say they enter the field seeking to improve opportunities for all children, but end up either frustrated or failing at this task because they cannot figure out how to navigate race issues. So, each essay in the book asks educators to rethink ordinary activities and to try doing something differently in everyday life. Because Harmony and I felt the readings from this text were so important, we added them to our assessment course as an integral part of building our sense of cultural and linguistic understandings. This week you will read Chapter 15, Helping Students of Color Meet High Standards, or Chapter 55, Valuing Student Homeworlds. The first part of our case study asks that you gather as much information as you can about students, information that you might not gather on an ordinary basis. These chapters support us to think differently about how to connect with learners as well as how to examine our own practices. And if these practices, while well-intentioned, are supporting students or actually doing quite the opposite. Remember to pick just one chapter to read. This week you'll also read Chapter 2 in Gottlieb, which is titled Assessment of Academic Language Through Standards. In this chapter, you will learn more about the relationship between academic language proficiency and academic achievement, and the role standards play in this relationship. You'll read about the role of academic language within content standards. For example, specifically, what language functions are and how they play a role in our standards. A guiding quote for this chapter is, "Fairness does not mean everyone gets the same. Fairness means everyone gets what they need." So also included in this chapter are actions to be considered when implementing both sets of standards, as well as how to use other WIDA tools, like the performance definitions. This course is grounded in developing understandings about how these two sets of standards work together. On this slide, we have named a few key phrases or topics from Chapter 2 that you'll want to take note of. Go ahead and take a minute to read those. As you read, please highlight, annotate, etc. in response to ideas that strike you in Chapter 2, ideas that confirm your thinking, those that extend your understanding, and questions that you might have. The third component to better understanding our students and the information we gather about them is thinking about the types of assessments, their purpose in general, and the implications for measuring language development. Gottlieb explains assessment as, of, and for learning in Chapter 1. Please read pages 21 through 21 in Chapter 1. Another resource regarding assessment is a video by Rick Stiggins. In this video, he enthusiastically explains the difference between assessment of and for learning. The video will reference of and for, which some refer to as formative and summative assessment. As you view the video link, think about what information is confirming to you and what might be a new take on these assessment forms. Much of this course will focus on assessment for learning or formative assessment. However, please note that section 2 of the case study asks that you gather summative or assessment of learning information about your case study student, both for the academic achievement like TCAP or PARCC and any other district-wide assessments, as well as scores from Access, the language assessment that all language learners take in Colorado. In addition, we've linked then a viewing guide for this video. We would suggest reviewing the viewing guide first, as the information presented in the video goes very quickly. Then, as you watch the video and have the viewing guide available, you can annotate or highlight key ideas you want to be sure and remember. Both the video and guide are linked on this slide. As a result of this week's readings, we'd like you to engage in a discussion forum, picking one of the 3 prompts. Remember, you only need to respond to one prompt. Each option asks that you provide evidence of your understanding from the 3 different resources used this week. Initial posts to the discussion forum are due by Tuesday, and the discussion forum will close on Friday. Please refer to Week 2 overview for specific instructions for engaging in the discussion forum. Go ahead and take a minute to read over the options for the discussion threads and pick one.